9 frozen corpses. Aliens. A secret military base on a snow-covered mountain that's called Russia's Area 51. This is the chilling mystery of the Dyatlov Pass Incident. 9 Soviet hikers on an expedition accidentally discovered what was claimed to be the USSR's secret military base. All of them met mysterious deaths around their last campsite. The authorities concluded a compelling natural force caused the deaths. The files were sent to a secret archive. The case was shut. Repeated investigations suggested that the hikers' last campsite intersected with a Soviet military exercise involving parachute mines and radiological weapons. The theory goes that, startled by loud explosions, the hikers hurriedly left their tent without proper clothing. When found, 6 died from hypothermia and 3 from physical trauma. 1 suffered major skull damage, 2 suffered severe chest trauma, and another a small skull crack. In a creek, 4 were found, 3 with damaged heads, 2 with missing eyes, and 1 without a tongue and an eyebrow. What could have possibly happened? Why did they leave their tents in the middle of the night, unprepared? How did these fatal injuries occur? Was it a cover-up? The questions were too many. Before we dive deeper, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join us as we explore thrilling mysteries. Don't miss out on the suspense. Subscribe now. A group of hikers, led by Igor Dyatlov, set off on a winter expedition in the Ural Mountains. Their goal was to reach a mountain called Otorten, aka the Dead Mountain. Even though it was the toughest time of year, all 9 hikers were skilled and equipped for the challenge. They planned their route and got approval from the concerned authorities. Boarding a train to Ivdel, a small town near the mountains, they began their journey. From the town, the group hitchhiked to a village, stocking up on supplies, all prepared for their 12-day trek. One member, Eerie, had to turn back due to health problems, but the rest continued towards the mountain. They reached the edge of the mountainous area and started preparing for the final climb. The group started hiking through a mountain pass to camp on the other side of that mountain. Snowstorms and poor visibility led them in the wrong direction. Soon realizing their mistake, they decided to set up a camp on the mountain slope instead of going almost 1 mile downhill. Before Dyatlov left, he promised to send a message to their sports club once the group returned to Vizhai, expected by February 12th. However, Dyatlov had informed Yudin that the return might take longer. When no messages were received by the 12th, there wasn't an immediate concern, as delays were common. A week passed, and the relatives started to panic, forcing the institute that the hikers studied in to send volunteers to search. The army and police also got involved, deploying planes and helicopters. After an extensive search, the group's tent was found on Kholat Syakhl. The tent appeared to have been cut open from the inside. Footprints led away from the tent, showing that the group had left in a hurry, some without proper clothing. A small fire site was discovered at the forest's edge, along with 2 bodies who were shoeless and in underwear. A few meters away, 3 more bodies were found, in poses suggesting an attempt to return to the tent. The remaining 4 were found more than 2 months later under snow in a ravine. 9 travelers were found on Kholat Syakhl, 6 dead from hypothermia and 3 from fatal injuries. The tent ripped open from within indicated a desperate escape. The victims had died 6 to 8 hours after their last meal, leaving traces showing they voluntarily abandoned the camp. A victim's clothing showed traces of radiation, and internal organ conditions were undisclosed. Without a guilty party, the investigation closed in May of 1959. The files were secretly archived, and the case was shut. Lev Ivanov, a former police officer who led the official investigation in 1959, published an article in 1990 where he admitted that the investigation team had no rational explanation for the incident. Ivanov and his team saw flying spheres in the area, and he believed that UFOs attacked and killed the hikers. A former leader of the Communist Party responded that the skiers' tent had holes from debris caused by a rocket test, not a UFO. The articles fueled conspiracy theories with mentions of UFOs, secret documents, and a possible government cover-up. By the late 2000s, the Dyatlov Pass Incident, known as Dyatlov, had gained national attention in newspapers and on television. April 12, 2018. Some reporters from a Russian newspaper called Komsomolskaya Pravda took the lead in digging up one of the victims' remains and re-examining them. The results they got were mixed. One expert thought the injuries looked like those from a car accident, and the DNA test didn't match any living relatives. Zolotaryov, whose remains were re-examined, wasn't on the list of people buried at Ivanovskoye Cemetery, where his remains were supposedly buried. A reconstructed face from the skull matched photos of Zolotaryov after World War II. The journalist had suspicions that someone else might be using Zolotaryov's name after the war. Another group of climbers, around 31 miles south of the incident, reported that they saw strange orange spheres in the sky to the north on the night of the incident. Similar orange spheres were observed in Ivdel and adjacent areas regularly during the period from February to March 1959 by various independent witnesses, including the Meteorology Service and the military. These sightings were not noted in the 1959 investigation. In February of 2019, Russian authorities reopened the investigation into the incident, although only 3 possible explanations were being considered: an avalanche, a slab avalanche, or a hurricane. Military cover-up. Evgeny Okashev, who is the deputy of the investigative department of the Sverdlovsk Oblast Prosecution Office, said in an interview that he had plans to thoroughly investigate the mysterious deaths of the last 4 bodies found in the pass. But the Deputy Prosecutor General Yurakov from Moscow arrived and abruptly ordered the case to be closed. Okashev shared that Klinov, who led the Sverdlovsk prosecutor's office, was present during the initial postmortems in the morgue and stayed there for 3 days. Okashev found this highly unusual, as it was the only time he had seen such a thing in his experience. Paradoxal undressing. When people are extremely cold, they may experience phenomenon known as paradoxal undressing, when they mistakenly feel like they're burning up and removing their clothes. It's confirmed that 6 of the 9 hikers died from being too cold. Infrasound. According to Donnie Icar's 2013 book, Dead Mountain, there's a theory about the Dyatlov Pass incident. It suggests that the wind going around Kholat Syakhl created a phenomenon called Kármán Vortex Street. producing infrasound that can cause panic attacks in humans, which might have caused the team to flee from their tents. Avalanche. On July 11th, 2020, Andrei Kuryakov, deputy head of a Russian prosecutor's office, said that an avalanche was the official cause of death for the Dyatlov group in 1959. Swiss researchers also suggested an avalanche after computer simulations. According to Kuryakov, the skiers' actions were not irrational. The falling snow slab would have sounded like cracks and rumbles, making them think an avalanche was coming. Despite placing their tent incorrectly, the skiers followed safety procedures. They evacuated to safer ground, sought shelter in the woods, started a fire, and dug a snow cave, ultimately leading to their demise. Snow slip. After days of heavy snowfall and winds, the snow weakened beneath the large tent due to inhabitants, and during the night, it started sliding down the slope, pressing on the tent. The group woke up in panic as the tent was being compressed. Unable to use the tent's entrance, they cut a hole to escape. Katabatic wind. In 2019, a group of Swedish and Russian researchers explored the site. They suggested that a strong and sudden downward wind, known as a katabatic wind, might explain what happened. These winds are rare, but can be very forceful. A similar event in 1978 in Sweden resulted in fatalities. There was also the initial speculation that the indigenous Mansi people had attacked and murdered the group for encroaching upon their lands. But the investigation indicated that the nature of the deaths did not support this hypothesis. Only the hikers' footprints were visible, and they showed no sign of hand-to-hand struggle. While the Dyatlov Pass Incident has an official conclusion, the mystery remains open for many, whether it's the power of nature, secret government tests, or encounters with aliens. The mystery of the Dyatlov Pass Incident may forever remain unexplained. Subscribe to Unexplained for more chilling tales.